All right, guys, another build update for you guys. This one today is going to be a custom battery tray build. So with that being said, kind of jump into what I've done and why I did it. And again, this is just to give people ideas. Some people this may not work for. Some people have been looking for something like this. So again, the whole goal of what I do is, for the RC community, man. I think we're a tight knit group, bunch of people. Some people like to keep their shit, again, top secret. I'm not that way. I like to share my ideas and help other people because sometimes other people may have ideas that may help me, man. So just passing it along. So what I've done today in this video, and hopefully this will help you guys out if this is something you guys have been thinking of. This will again help you guys out. So if you remember in my last video, I wanted to let you guys know the batteries that I was running. So these things are monsters. These are two 4S batteries each for an 8S setup. These are 7,500 mAh. So you guys could see that these things are monsters. They're 100C burst, 100C constant and 200 C bursts on each one of these batteries. Now these are also high voltage batteries, but like I said, these things are massive. So with that being said, in my last video, you guys saw the stock battery tray back here, but these two batteries would certainly not stack up on top of each other and let the body sit on top. But nonetheless, even with that being said, even if it did fit, I still wouldn't run it that way, which is why I created this setup. So the point of this is to basically spread the weight of the batteries across the entire side of the chassis, right? So, if you're running 2 3S's back here in a one tray type setup, well, now you got all the weight offset to the back of the car, which is typically not good, right? You want the weight to be spread out, and you want some weight in the front nose of the car so that if you are trying to do some high speed runs, you got some weight keeping the front of the nose down and not lifting it up with all the weight being in the back. So basically what I've done, you guys can kind of see, I've used a carbon fiber plate and I've mounted it to the stock mounting locations or the pre-tapped holes that were stock in the vehicle. The point of this build is again to not destroy the chassis of the car, right? If you ever want to put it back to stock, you could use all the same screw holes and taps and things like that from the factory to put all the pieces back on, and you don't have a million holes that now you've drilled into the chassis and totally destroyed the chassis and made it look like shit. So the goal is here to keep everything as original as possible, while achieving the goal in mind here, which is running a big battery setup. Or again, if you wanted to run two 2S's, two 3S's, you got them nice and spread. You can see the battery lead ports here. I have them all next to each other, so you can have the batteries facing each other, so that this way your connectors have no problem getting connected. So that's not going to be an issue. The one thing that I wanted to show you guys is that, basically how solid this is. So it's not some chintzy type setup. So I'm going to grab the vehicle by the batteries and I'm going to lift the vehicle and give it a couple of violent tugs. And the batteries are not going pretty much anywhere, right? If you crash at 100 miles an hour into a wall or a curb or something like that, then this is probably going to be the least of your concern because your car is going to be destroyed anyway. So, but this will take, the impact of, the car flipping over or, tumbling or, whatever. These things are not going anywhere. So with that being said, let's kind of dive in to what I've done here. Let's get these out of the way. So again, just like my video where I showed you the ESC mount that I've built, out of carbon fiber. I like carbon fiber, man. Carbon fiber is easy to work with. It looks beautiful. It's lightweight. It's you know, super strong, especially with the weave and things like that. So, you know, even if you crash, you know, these screws shouldn't rip out. I mean, because this is all like a weave pattern. So it's going to be like a net. You know, these things are not just going to you know, break out again. But if you get into a bad enough crash, you know, nothing is obviously invincible or indestructible. But again, you can see the carbon fiber plate, beautiful looking piece. You know, again, this is things that you could do yourself. You know, I didn't do it on a CNC machine or something like that. So, you know, there's going to be slight imperfections, but you know, again, it's achieving its purpose. That's the goal here. The goal is for us to kind of think outside of the box, come up with our own stuff, and not have to wait for someone to manufacture a product, you know, that they're going to sell to you, you know, for a higher price. Because obviously, with their, you know, work and research and development, things like that, you're going to pay the premium for that. So with this, is something you could do yourself. Looks good. And also is going to be pretty solid. So with that being said, you can kind of see again, I've used all the stock mounting locations right here. The nice thing about this is all the screws that you're going to use to tap into the carbon fiber are basically going to be the screws that you take off from the battery trays and trim. So you'll be able to have all that. The only thing you will need though is these little nuts. That's going to create some extra support when you screw down the carbon fiber and make sure it's secure. Now the thing is, you don't want to wrench these things down, right? So you just want them to be snug. You want to put some Loctite on them, but they don't need to be like fiercely tight, right? You don't want to crack the plate, the carbon fiber plate. So you just want to, you know, screw it in. Once you screw it into the carbon fiber kind of taps itself and you'll feel that screw tighten up. Once it tightens up, that's it. You don't need to wrench it down. Then you just put these, if it'll focus here, these little bolts. Oh, whatever. I mean, you get the point. Put the little bolts, you know, on there. Just obviously measure a nice rectangular plate that's going to fit. You want to measure the plate is going to be up to the edge of the car. So now you'll see my plate is missing a little section here. I'm just kind of using a scrap piece of carbon fiber, and I took a little chunk out for one of my other projects that I was working on. So you'll see yours will be a rectangle that'll fill out this plate. It'll go from here like that, and actually you'll have one more mounting location even to make it more solid. Now the thing I got to stress about working with carbon fiber, it's an awesome material, again, with all the benefits that I say. It's lightweight, again, you know, strong, but working with it, you want to be cautious, right? You don't want to just you know, get a plate of carbon fiber and take it in your garage and start you know, cutting it with a Dremel or anything like that, because this little dust, this little carbon dust, it's very irritant. You don't want to breathe it in. You don't want to get it on your hands because it's really itchy. So if you're going to be working with carbon fiber, you know, work with a respirator or a dust mask. You know, make sure you're not breathing the crap in. Work in a well-ventilated area, and you know, wear some like latex gloves. You know, some nitrile gloves or nitrate, whatever the hell they're called. Work with that so that you're not getting the dust all over your fingers and in between your hands, because or between your fingers rather, because it's very irritant and it gets very, very itchy. So, but other than that, you know, that's pretty much it. Without getting too long-winded with this video, but you can kind of see, you know, you already saw the battery setup. Again, with the batteries set up this way, it's very nice. Spreads the weight across evenly. And you know, again, the batteries are not going anywhere with that setup. So the other thing I actually wanted to mention before I forget is, you know, this is all stuff that you could buy yourself on Amazon, man. So, you know, this carbon fiber plate, you can get like a 200 millimeter by 300 millimeter, nice big sheet. You know, for typically 20 or 30 bucks. Now, obviously, I went with a little bit higher quality of a piece, you know, with a certain manufacturer, but you know, I think I spent like, you know, 40 bucks or something like that for a 200 millimeter by, you know, 300 millimeter sheet. Mine is 3 millimeter thick, so it's a nice thick piece of carbon fiber. You can get it thicker, but that's unnecessary. You don't need to, but you probably don't want to go thinner, right? You don't want a paper thin sized carbon fiber, that's not gonna help you. You want to make sure this thing is rock solid and not going anywhere. So I definitely recommend at least a 3 millimeter, and I think 3 millimeters is perfect. You don't really need to go bigger than that. So and then, you know, get a piece of, you can buy these in sheets, like big sheets, these foam sticky back, so that once you just apply it to here, it'll stick right onto the carbon fiber. The foam is not going anywhere. And then the batteries that are sitting on here, you know, they're basically gripped. So once you wrench these straps down, these batteries are not going to be sliding back and forth or side to side. I mean, this thing is like, it's like a rubber, you know, grip. So those batteries aren't going anywhere. So other than that, like I said, that's pretty much it. Another build for you to be able to run battery trays. This will work for the Limitless and or the Infraction. So hopefully this, you know, helps somebody out. Again, you know, this is not something that everybody is going to need. You know, some people are just running the stock setup with the motor here and the dual battery trays. So this may not be for you. This is probably more for the people that are going to be running some big power applications, maybe ADAS, you know, things like that. Or like I said, if you have your motor on this side because you're running a CAN motor, you can again run two 2S's, two 3S's, two 4S's, whatever you want. You know, the options are now, you know, endless because you got this this battery tray set up. And again, for the weight balance, it's a huge plus as well. So other than that, I think that's really all I have to say. Again, when you're working with carbon fiber, just be safe. Don't breathe that shit in. Wear gloves. Work in a well-ventilated area. And other than that, I think that's it for this video, man. So until the next update that I have or next thing I come up with, I'll post another video. But appreciate you guys. Like, comment, subscribe. If you have any kind of honest feedback, anything that you think I could have done different, or anything that you may have done different, or you know, again, I'm always open to ideas. This is just something that I came up with, and trying to keep the vehicle as stock as possible and not destroying the chassis by tapping a bunch of holes into it. And this thing, I can assure you, is not going anywhere. So thank you guys so much, and you guys have a good night, man. Check you guys on the next video. Later.